In our next section, we're going to talk about Vlan Trunking, which is how you get traffic from one device to another in a quick fashion, really. The idea behind it is actually really simple. You're going to set up inter-switch connectivity, is what it's commonly referred to. And what this does is it allows one or more VLANs that are configured on the device to traverse either a copper or fiber optic connection to another switch. That's basically what a trunk does. Now, there's different ways to set up trunking. There's switch to router, switch to server, but the most common one is going to be switch to switch, which is how you traverse multiple VLANs across a trunk link. Now, in most cases, you're going to get switches that are going to traverse trunks, or VLANs that are going to traverse trunks at a certain port type. That's called a trunk. So, the traffic sent over a trunk link receives a special trunking encapsulation. Now, normal Ethernet header does not have a field for the VLAN number, so the ISL or 802.1q header are added to include this information. And what ends up happening, pull up my configuration here. I'm only going to do this between switch 1 and switch 2, because I could do it between switch 3 as well, but that would get a little complicated because the only one dot 4 can only do, or switch 4 can only do .1q. So the idea behind here, ISL is Cisco proprietary, as you probably already knew that. But if you didn't know it, both ISL and .1q have the same goal of encoding VLAN number in the frame header to separate traffic. .1q is ISL ISL is Cisco proprietary. It uses 30 bytes of encapsulation. Excuse me. A 26 byte header and a 4 byte trailer, and it does not modify the original frame. All it basically does is it cocoons it. So, puts a big header in front of it, a big trailer behind it, and that's all there is to it. The payload is is just that. It's just the payload is in between them. .1q is IEEE standard, a 4 byte tag except for the native VLAN, modifies the original frame. So we're going to do ISL here, and then we're going to do .1q here, 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 and we're going to do ISL here, because we can, and we're going to do .1q here. So I'll put .1q, .1q, and the reason for this is simply because switch 4 can only do .1q. So we'll do ISL, and we'll do .1q here. So we'll set it up like that, and then we'll be able to configure it as such. And then once we do that, we should be able to get all ports across, or all VLANs across all trunks, with the exception of whatever spanning tree is doing. So we'll start on switch 1. So let me grab my console cable. And switch 1 is right here. So we'll jump onto him. Pull up my trusty dusty console cable, which is right here. And we're going to do a show interface trunk. And we should have a couple of trunks. 13, 16, and 23. And everything's already doing what it's supposed to be doing. So we do a show CDP neighbors. There's a reason why 23 flipped over to .1q. Because of the fact of switch 4 can only do .1q. So we have 13 and 16. So 13 goes to switch 2. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to this interface. We're typing interface and let's see, switch. We're going to say there's a native VLAN mismatch. Alright. We'll have to take a look at that. Figure out why. But anyway. So the first thing we're going to do is let's see here. Locally it's 13. On there it's 13. So interface fast 0/13. We're going to type in switch port what we could do is do this. We have 13, 16, and 23. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to type interface range, fast Ethernet 0/13, fast Ethernet 0/16, and fast Ethernet 0/23. We'll type in switch port. What am I going to type in? I'm going to type in default. Default. Actually, I got to do this before I do this. So, Control A, default. So that puts it back down. Alright, so that flips it back over to that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to switch 2. Do the same thing. Because that'll give me the ability to do show interface trunk. We have 13, 21, and 23 respectively. So global config, we're going to type in interface, or default, interface range, fast 0/13, fast 0/21, and 23, and that's going to default it back. So that'll bounce the interface and then bring it back up. And there it goes. So then we're going to go over to switch 3 and do that as well. I know you guys aren't learning anything from this at the moment, but it has to be done. So show interface trunk. We have 17 and 20. Show run. What port is shut down? Somebody shut down. Which one of these ports is not coming up? Because they all should be coming up. Oh, lost my connection to the switch. So I'm gonna stand up here and do some investigating and let you know what I find. Okay, so I figured out what the problem was. I just added VLAN interface 11 to become an access port when I had it plugged in as a trunk. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up to this. I'm gonna type in default interface range. And it's going to be fast 0/13, 1/0/13, fast 1/0/17, and fast 1/0/20. And that defaults it back. They should come back up here momentarily. And as soon as VLAN 1 comes back up, I can jump over to switch 4, and then we can go about doing this. Now here's a couple of the kickers. Desirable, all the way down here, desirable. What this basically means is when you see DTP mode desirable, what that means is actually switch port dynamic desirable. That means I'm going to prefer to be a trunk if I can become a trunk. The first one that it's going to do is going to do as ISL encapsulation because it's Cisco proprietary. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do .1Q if ISL is not available. So whatever both sides are talking about, if one side can only do .1Q, then both sides will have to do .1Q. That's why you'll see down here in show interface trunk, you'll see this negotiated, or this N right here. That means it negotiated that particular encapsulation type. Its mode is auto. So if we were to go over to switch 1, it's probably in dynamic mode desirable. Now we negotiated 20 because 20, if we do a show CDP neighbors, 20 connects over to fast Ethernet, or connects over to switch 4, which happens to be 2950. So that's why that one did it. So right now it's doing what it's supposed to do, which I'm fine with the way that it's actually setting it up. So I just wanted you guys to see that ISL was being negotiated, and so I can't go and do anything to switch 4 because the fact of, well, it's doesn't support it. I mean, it does support dynamic desirable, and I can set it to auto, and it's going to automatically flip over to .1Q. It's going to be its default configuration. So now the drawback with running ISL trunks is that it's only available to run Cisco devices. So there's no way you can actually go in and configure it to do anything else, to run with any other vendor. So that is why .1Q is the more preferred way of doing it, because you can run any other vendor's devices on your network and they'll be able to work. So now that you've seen how to flip everything back over to, let me jump over to switch 1 real quick, and jump out here and do show interface trunk so you guys can see this. It negotiated ISL, and these guys are in desirable mode. So it's allowing all these VLANs up here across. So actually, let's do this. Config T, no VLAN 5, no VLAN 510. So now we're going to have 1 or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So these guys are in desirable mode, which is fine with me. I'm happy with the way it's setting up. So I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to jump over to .1Q and explain .1Q. So we'll show you how .1Q works, and then we'll talk about DTP at the same point in time. I hope this has been informative for you. Thank you for viewing.